Providing insights to help you grow your business, improve yourself, and add value to those around you. You're listening to the Success is a Choice podcast, where you get a peek into the lives of industry leaders as they share their stories with you.
Hey everybody, welcome to the Success is a Choice podcasting network. Today we have a really special edition. We have the high school athletic directors edition today, so we have a great panel. But before we get to them, I want to remind you that today's episode is made possible by the leadershipplaybook.com, the leadershipplaybook.com. Everybody wants a stronger culture in their athletic department or their sports teams, and to do that, you have to have better teammates, more positive leaders. That's where the leadershipplaybook.com can come in. Hundreds of 2-minute videos that they can watch on their phones or tablets. And special deal, use coupon code NADC as in the National Athletic Directors Conference, NADC, and you will get $100 off that program, and you'll get it for life. You won't have to pay any more each year. You'll get it for life. So getting back to our show today, we have a very special panel. These are people that are well-connected on the national level, well-connected on their state association level, in the athletic director, athletic administrator world. And we have the National Athletic Director Conference coming up in Austin, Texas, very shortly. And if you're somebody that's going to that conference, then you're going to want to listen to this, because they're going to give you a lot of great tips for going to that. If you're somebody that's not going, well, hopefully they inspire you to go next year and to sign up for next year's conference, because it's a great event. And so the National Athletic Directors Conference coming up in Texas, we have a great panel today. So we're just going to jump right into it. We are going to let them introduce themselves. We got a great panel. We'll let them introduce themselves and also kind of give us what they're most looking forward to, maybe. And I know they're all looking forward to a lot of things, but what is kind of that one thing that stands out in their mind when they think of this year's conference? So we'll go ahead and start it off with, I'm in Akron, Ohio. I'm in Ohio. So we'll go ahead and start it off with another guy from Ohio. So Joe, take it away.
Jamie, thank you for having me. Yeah, my name is Joe Kimling. I'm currently the athletic director at Washington High School in Washington Courthouse, Ohio. It's my first year here after spending 22 years at Madeira High School in Cincinnati. And I'm currently the OI AAA president-elect. Really looking forward to going to Austin this year, Jamie. Quite frankly, I've never been to Austin, so that's a huge appeal for me, number one. Number two, I enjoy going to the conferences for a lot of reasons, but one of which is getting an opportunity to network with other folks around the country, share thoughts and experiences. And, I always walk away with a couple of little nuggets, and I always walk away thinking, well, I'm not the only crazy one that's experienced this thing, because just when you think you've seen it all, somebody's got one that one-ups you.
That's good. Go ahead, Brent.
Yeah, that's great, Joe. Yeah, I'm Brent Cook. I'm the Activities and Athletics Director at Dubuque Senior High School in Dubuque, Iowa. This is my 13th year here in Dubuque, 10 years prior to that down the road at a different school in Iowa. But this is my year 28 in athletic administration. So that's well beyond the norm, I think, these days. So they'll be wheeling me out in a wheelchair, I think, before I give it up. But anyway, I'm excited for the NADC as well. I'm starting actually for Iowa. I'm serving as the Section 4 rep for the NIAAA, so I'm on the board of directors this year. Took over from a fellow AD who decided retirement's coming his way pretty fast. So I'm excited for that. But also, I love going to the NADC, just like Joe said, networking. But then it's kind of like a conference that's on steroids from our state conferences. There's just so many different mini sessions, general speakers. There's got to be something for everybody. And again, just finding those things that maybe are pertinent to me here at my school, and finding out, yep, there's a solution to that, and being able to hear from our colleagues there. So I'm excited about hitting Austin as well.
Hi, everyone. My name is Jen Brooks. I'm the athletic director at Ursuline Academy in St. Louis, Missouri. I'm also the CEO and founder of the Global Community of Women in High School Sports, and I'm the mentor coordinator for the state of Missouri. I've been at Ursuline for 31 years and 29 of them as the athletic director. So I was a baby when I started this job, just to be clear, you all. I absolutely love going to the conference. It's the best, greatest professional development experience I have ever had, and I do it yearly. And I've never been to Austin, so I'm looking forward to learning, meeting new people, and connecting with all my old friends.
All right. Good afternoon, everybody. LAMARR Glenn. I'm the district athletic director for Fulton County Schools. Serve about 16 high schools here in Fulton County. Prior to my time at Fulton County, I was the athletic director at 4 different stops here in Georgia. And prior to that, I opened a high school in Orange County, Florida, Wekiva High School. Opened that school up and was there for 8.5 years. I just simply enjoy the conference. When I started as an AD way back, our district AD, she was a stickler for her ADs getting professional development. So when my first conference was in Nashville, never been to Austin, so I'm looking forward to this conference. Been to Dallas, been to San Antonio, but never Austin. So looking forward to seeing some of the sites in Austin, but also just for me, the NADC is a recharge. It's a mid-year recharge for me. It gives me a chance to network, to talk with some other experienced ADs, and always pull away those nuggets, as Joe said, pull away those nuggets, because I'm just a person that is always looking to get better. So this is my mid-year recharge.
Well, Jamie, thank you for having me. I'm Lisa.Langston. I'm the district athletic director for Fort Worth Independent School District in Texas. And so first of all, I'm looking forward to welcoming everyone to Austin, our state capital. I am in my 35th year in Fort Worth, and 29 of those years have all been in athletics. And so, I'm one of the more seasoned athletic administrators, but every time I attend the national conference, I look forward to learning new things, because I am a lifelong learner. And, I have great friends that friendships and relationships that I've cultivated through the attendance of other conferences. And one of the things I can just tell you about the conference is, whenever you are around people, the conversation always comes back to what we're doing. And so I love the fact that I'm around people who are on fire for interscholastic athletic administration. And so you're constantly learning through, just simple conversations. And so as you can see, I'm pretty fired up about it. I'm fired up to have you welcome everyone to the state of Texas. And I am a past president of the NIAAA. So again, I'm welcoming everyone to my first state.
Well, awesome. We appreciate that. And we appreciate, once again, all you guys jumping on this call and being on this panel. We want to talk, a couple of you mentioned networking, and we're just going to start off with networking as kind of the main topic here, our first topic. It's a very important thing, networking, getting to know other ADs. And so I'd love to get your guys' take on some of the best ways to go about networking, expanding your network, expanding your contact list. What are some do's and don'ts for networking? And we're going to start once again with my brother from Ohio, because we first met last year at a conference in a hospitality room. And come to find out, we grew up very close to each other, had a lot of the same experiences up in Michigan. And so, we networked and developed this contact through an hospitality room. But we'll start off with Joe, and then go around the room again with networking tips.
Well, Jamie, I'm not so sure that professionally I should be encouraging going to hospitality rooms. However, you are right. I have had the opportunity to attend a few hospitality rooms, and it is a great place network. As you mentioned, that's where we met. And again, ironically, grew up, about 20 miles apart from one another in Michigan, and found each other in a conference room in Nashville. So it's kind of interesting. For me, I just like the opportunity to, when you're at breakout sessions or you're at classes, to have those conversations with others at the table and being open and willing to introduce yourself and share your experiences, because realistically, from a networking standpoint, that's where you get that open dialogue, and you've got a connection. Maybe you take a business card and pass a business card on to a friend or to someone that you meet there, where you can connect back later and find out what their experiences are, dig in a little deeper on whatever it is your topic of conversation was. I know, Jamie, I had the opportunity through our conversation to get a couple of your books, and have read a couple of your books that I've used moving forward. So I think the biggest thing is you have to put yourself out there, especially if you're new to the conference. You're going to be a little nervous, not sure what the protocols are. Everybody there's been in your same situation. So don't be afraid to reach out to somebody, introduce yourself, and just open that dialogue, because quite frankly, a lot of learning takes place away from the classroom and away from the breakout sessions.
Yeah, I'll go again there, Joe. That's good information. My two experiences here in Iowa are a little bit different. The first school I was at is a little smaller school. And so the first conference I went to, I didn't know if I'd ever get sent back. So I took 4 leadership training classes that first NADC. And if anybody's taken those, that maybe is about 3 too many for the amount of information that you get. You get a lot of info in those things. But I didn't know if I'd have a chance, and then was able to come back. So I was at a smaller school, and again, felt maybe a little bit of what Joe was talking about, that I'm just at a small school and I don't have anything to offer. But what you find out is we all have the same problems. It's just how many people are wandering around your hallways. Some schools are bigger than others, but we probably all have the similar issues. And that's what I learned when I took those LTI classes, is that first I was getting some tools for me to bring back, but the people sitting in the room, they must needed those same tools because they were also sitting in the room. So, it doesn't matter what size of school you're at, that there's something for everybody in there. So, going back to hospitality rooms, I just like to jot a few things down. If everybody could just tell us where each state's hospitality room is, asking for a friend. I meant to say asking for a friend, but that is true. That is fun. Part of the fun of going to conventions, whether it be your section. I know Iowa has a night. We used to all have those in suites, and when I was at Nashville, there's a bunch of suites, but Iowa's been going out to a restaurant lately. But it is a fun time where other people from other states can come and again, just a more relaxed atmosphere, and that's fun, and that's important too. The class is where you get those big pieces of information, but when you're eating lunches and having dinners and having a social time, you're doing a lot of great things too. So. But yeah, so there's all different ways to network, and for me, it started out with LTI classes. That's for sure.
So I know people may find this hard to believe, but I'm actually an introvert. And as much as I do value networking, it can be really hard for this introvert in me, because this conference is amazing and it's fast paced and it's constant. And it can be really draining. So know that it's okay to give yourself a 15-minute break to go into your room and just decompress, right? But also for the people like me that sometimes find it hard to actually go up and say hello, to find that courage to go say hello, because people here are going to be so loving, so amazing. Everybody's in the same situation. So have the courage. And then for the people who are more extroverted in the space, recognize the introverts and put an arm around them and welcome them into your space, into your hospitality room, and all those things. So just kind of be aware of that. And everyone is invited to the hospitality that I'm hosting on December 16th. Get your pens out, write it down. Monday, December 16th. 6 p.m. to 8 p.m. at the Tavern. It's in downtown Austin. It's a woman-owned sports bar, and we're going to celebrate all the women of excellence and all the people who are getting awards from the global community that night. So join us. It's going to be a great time.
Yeah. All right. Well, Wow, what can I say about networking? I guess my advice to everybody is similar to Joe. Is that use these workshop sessions and LTI classes to really meet the people in the room, really talk and build relationships with the people in the room. That's where it started for me, is building those relationships, but also not being afraid to get involved. Right, when they start talking about joining committees, things like that, don't be afraid to go to that session and get involved, because you'll start to meet people with similar things going on within their school district or their school as you. So when I learned so much from being on the awards committee for the last 6 years, being able to reach out to some of those folks that I'm on the committee with, and that's just another network that I have in my back pocket, that when I have something going on, or a question, that's another network that I can reach out to. So I would just say, don't be afraid, just as everybody else says, don't be afraid to find somebody that you feel is in a similar district or a similar school as you, and feel free to reach out to that person and talk to them. And I'm sure that they will embrace that and put their arms around you and willing to share all sorts of information.
Okay, well, a lot has been said about networking. For me, I think one of the keys is you got to realize you belong. I've actually spoken to someone before that said, "Well, I went to a conference and I didn't feel like I belonged." But that's something you have to know yourself going in. You belong there, and step outside your comfort zone. And I know Jen talked about being an introvert, but this is one opportunity where as leaders, in order to grow, we have to be willing to step out, and that's a part of it with the networking. Be willing to expand your group. Don't I'm from Texas. Well, you won't see me just with Texas people. So expand to other states you might even want to go visit. Because there's some value in that. And I think that's my point, is you are adding value to someone else, because you don't know, you have something that somebody else might need. And so you can give it to them through these networking opportunities that are built into the schedule of the conference. So you just need to be open to that, and be yourself. And like I said, just remember that you belong.
Well, I think I love those tips. And, Jen, you mentioned you're an introvert. A lot of people wouldn't expect me to be an introvert as well, since I have a podcast and I speak on stage, but I don't do a very good job sometimes of introducing myself or putting myself out there. But one thing that I've seen other people do that I find helpful as an introvert, or maybe somebody that doesn't feel I belong, or I don't know someone, is if I'm talking with Joe in the conference hallway, and then Brent comes up, or someone comes up to Joe and starts talking to Joe, Joe can hey, do you know Jamy? Jamy, do you know so-and-so? And just that little interaction there sometimes can be hugely helpful. And it happens all the time in the hallways. It happens all the time, at these conferences. You're talking one-on-one with someone, and then somebody else knows one of you. You can introduce that person to somebody else. And that goes a long way, especially for the introverts, but it goes a long way to establish a better even conversation there. So it's just not one person now is on the outside looking in. So that's something that you can do to facilitate. If you know someone, you can be a matchmaker. So appreciate all those networking tips. You guys mentioned a lot of classes. You've gone to a lot of classes, or there's a lot of sessions. There's so much professional development. It's almost like drinking, from a fire hose. It's so much water to take in. It's so much information to take in at one time. But what are some tips you would have for which sessions to choose? And are there some recommended sessions that you guys would have? And if you're teaching an LTI, this is your chance to shamelessly self-promote that as well.
Well, I can start, Jamie. I do actually teach an LTI. It's stress management and wellness. It's a shocker. I always tell people I'm the before picture, and the rest of my class, instructors are the after. So, I got the opportunity to start teaching. I don't know. It seems like 100 years ago now, probably 10 years ago. And it really, to the point that some of the folks made, it really got me more involved in the conference. it made networking a little easier for me because I'm standing in front of a group of folks coming in from all over the place to share thoughts with. So I've always taken the opportunity to try to take at least one or two classes whenever I go. To me, that's really important. It's a time that I can carve out and take those classes, not feel guilty because I'm leaving school or leaving my kids behind to take them during the week. And webinars are great, but taking a webinar means I'm taking time away from family. This is an opportunity that for me it's really a work conference for me, in the sense that I'm taking classes and I'm taking a look at what the breakout sessions are and picking sessions that are pertinent to me or my school and things that I think I can bring back and take to my community and hopefully make work here at Washington Courthouse. So I would recommend taking at least one class. I will agree, Brent, like you, I took a 4-class session once and I felt like I was beat with a stick. Moderation is important, and do take some time to relax at the conference as well.
Well, the problem for me when I started those, that was a long time ago, given how many years I've been doing this. So you'd come home with those binders that were that thick. So I had to take an extra suitcase to bring those darn binders back. So at least now you can probably get them in your backpack. So same thing. One thing I think a tip for everybody too is the mini sessions. Oftentimes the information you might sit through gets loaded up to the NIAAA website or a site where you can access it later. So you don't have to feel bad like, oh, I missed that, I didn't make that connection, or I didn't go get a chance to go talk to somebody because we're getting scurried off to another session. You can always check back in after the conference and hopefully, make those connections with the people teaching, as like Joe said, or find some information that you weren't able to go to, and so you feel like you could get some of that information, kind of a double set of sessions. You don't know which one to go to, so I always tell people to look for that. And probably one of the bigger ones too, and we've had different people over the years, but at the end of the conference usually is the year in review of legal issues, where that's where you learn as an AD all the things you're like, that person maybe got in trouble for that. I better go check to make sure we're not doing that either. So we want to make sure you're doing stuff. So there's always a few good stories there. We have something like that at our state convention as well, where we have one of the lawyers around the state come in, and he always tries to change the names to protect the innocent. But at least when you're on a state level, I think everybody in a small state like ours already knows who we're talking about. But the legal one is really a big one that I've always enjoyed over the years.
Yeah, when my younger days, I took all of those LTI classes, and that was great because it helped me get my certification, but it was probably a little too much. Like I did the 4, classes in one thing. So yes, definitely take an LTI class or two, go to the workshops. I'm going to plug my workshop. I am speaking on Sunday morning at 10 a.m. I get the privilege of speaking with Nikki Norris, and we're going to present on mentoring female coaches for athletic administration. So how can you empower the women that you work with to be leaders in your school? We're going to be talking about that on Sunday morning at 10 o'clock. So I invite you all to come.
Yeah. So as far as recommended sessions, I'm just going to start with the opening general session. I would say anybody going to the conference needs to attend the opening general session. And I say that because our keynote speakers at those have been outstanding they're outstanding, and you can pull so many leadership nuggets, and it's just motivating. And then the next session that I would probably recommend is there's always an AD work-life balance session there, a mini session. I just recommend that to the new AD, to the veteran AD, because we all need to be refreshed on how to balance this thing. We're out sometimes 4 nights a week, 5 nights a week. We're going to tournaments on weekends. We're making an appearance here, there, whatever. But we need to still, understand how to enjoy ourselves, right? And to turn this off a little bit. And so, like I said, those sessions I would recommend to anybody. And I am an LTI faculty. I teach LTI 608 organizational techniques and strategies. So I would say, hey, take that one if you're a young AD. I think that always helps. We have some great information and great nuggets for for the 0 to 5 AD.
Okay, well, I'm also on the national faculty. I actually teach 2 courses, but as luck would have it, both courses are at the same time this year. Saturday at 12:30, I'm teaching. It's a brand new course, LTC 635. It's about supporting a college-bound student athlete. We're looking at the NCAA rules and regulations, also NAIA. Just giving our athletic administrators some tools that, if you come from a background that's not sports related, because we do have those type of athletic administrators, we're going to give you some tools to help equip you so that you can better serve your student athletes that are going to the next level. And we all know that there's been a major shakeup with the NCAA, so we're going to cover a lot of those new changes and requirements and things of that nature. But going back to what we were talking about with the networking, I would recommend all the talking and tradings that are there, because the way those courses or those little workshops are set up, you're usually put in groups. And so you're getting an opportunity to engage with different people. And I know last year's several of the ones that I attended, you weren't always with the same individuals. So it gave you an opportunity to connect with people and then think, okay, I need to connect further with that person. So those would be, and what LAMARR said about the speakers, I've always gotten something out of our keynote speakers for the opening and the closing session. So I think everyone gave great advice as far as about the recommendation. And like you said, sometimes there's so much that it's like, okay, I missed that, that workshop, but thankfully they do put some of the PowerPoints on the website afterwards. So don't feel like, if you missed out, do like I do. I'll have a friend attend something that I'm not and say, hey, you take the notes and I'll share my notes and things like that. So we still get a little bit of that information as well.
Well, one of the big things at a conference like this is the vendor hall. Hundreds of vendors, some of them selling things that you want, some of them not selling things you want, but there's so much to take in the vendor hall. It's a huge area. And actually, for the first time, shameless plug, I'm actually having a vendor booth. I've never had a vendor booth in my whole life. So we're actually having a vendor booth for the first time. So, all of you ADs can walk past and act like you didn't see me and, just avert your eyes and because you don't want to talk. But we're giving away a TV. I know a lot of people give away stuff. We're giving away a TV. So you might as well scan your QR code or scan your name badge. But anyways, as ADs start to navigate the vendor hall, you go into the vendor hall, whether you're looking for something that you have to purchase or not. What are some tips that you have for going in the vendor hall other than stopping at booth number 239, which would be the leadership playbook? So other than that, what would be some advice you would have for going into the vendor hall?
I can tell you, the vendor hall can seem overwhelming when you walk in. The massive space, and there's people everywhere, and everybody wants to scan your badge, and it's that, to your point, there's that feeling of if I stood and tried to talk to everybody in here, my entire conference would be spent inside the vendor hall. I always recommend that there's probably some vendors there that you use as an athletic director relatively regularly. Try to find those folks, reach out to the folks that you've used, and then go in with a plan of things that you might have on your horizon and try to stop at different booths along the way that can truly give you some information down the road. Doesn't mean that you have to manage that at that time, but you can get a card, you can come back and revisit later. But I would recommend going in with a bit of a plan and having a plan of action on what it is that you foresee in your district, things that you might need, materials or services that can help you down the road, and go in with a target. And then you can go back and do the scan so you can get your bingo card filled or whatever it is to get your prizes. But we also need to understand as professionals that the vendors are a big part of being able to put on a conference of this magnitude. And so we owe them a few minutes of our time to be able to go in, visit, say hi, give them their 30-second spiel, because without our vendors, this conference wouldn't be the conference that it is. And it's an amazing experience.
Yeah, I agree there, Joe. Sometimes I like to have a plan, maybe the different sessions that vending sessions, if you will, to kind of have a plan to like, okay, I'm going to go over in this quarter of the, this quarter and the people around them over there on when I go this time. And then the next time I'm going to go over to a different section and just try to reach out to different places. A good experience for me once was, I don't even know how many years ago, I'm going to say 6 years ago, went to a booth it was Earth Networks. It's a lightning detecting service, basically that you can subscribe to. Didn't feel like I needed it, but listened to them and maybe got a free gift. I don't even remember. But that very next football season, we had a game which we probably should have been inside for, and lightning's going on around us, but the officials on the field were never stopping the game. They just were not. They wanted to keep going. And long story short, after that game, I'm like, I don't care. We're getting a lightning detecting service with the strobe light because we felt like we were putting people in harm's way, and that's really wanted to do that. Now, fast forward to today, a lot of my fans don't like it when it actually goes off when it's 9.5 miles away instead of 10, and we go inside even though it's sun shining. We play summer baseball and softball in Iowa, so it's sun shining overhead, but less than 10 miles away, there's a thunderstorm happening. And so that I get some grief about that. But again, erring on safety. So that's just an example of mine that I didn't necessarily needed that information right then, but I remembered it a year later, and that's who we ended up going with. So it's, have a plan is important, but, make some connections that maybe down the road might come out to fruition for them and you.
Joe and Brent have given some great wisdom. And just to kind of add on that, as you walk through the vendor hall, there's going to be a lot of vendors that you don't have a need to have a conversation with, right? I work in an all-girls school. I don't need football, helmets or anything like that. But as I walk by those vendors, I want to make sure I look them in the eye and say hi, right? If there's value, there's so much value and importance. We can't do this conference without them being there. So just acknowledge them. We don't have, the introvert in me wants to put my head down and just keep walking. But I encourage you to say hi, look them in the eye and say hi, say thanks for being here, and keep on walking. Okay. Those are all okay things to do. And I'm going to put a shameless plug in, stop by booth 915. It's the Global Community of Women in High School Sports. Men, you can sign up too. We're actually doing different levels of membership coming up. So you can buy a membership for your whole organization, for retired, for students, all the good things. And we're selling t-shirts. We got some really cool t-shirts we're going to sell. So have some courage. Those people that are introverts, walk by, say hello.
Yeah, and so I agree with everybody. Our vendors are so important to what we do as athletic administrators. And I would say, just like Joe, go in with a plan. Have those top tier things that that you need as a school, or that may be coming up down the road. Like in 3 years you may need a pole vault pit or something of that nature. Definitely, you want to stop by those, and then from there, then you can just kind of expand your network. You can kind of follow your buddy or follow someone to another booth, and you guys hear the spiel together. And their school may be looking for that, and you may not necessarily be looking for it right now, but it's something that you can you may find the need for. So I would say do that. And a lot of times I've built relationships with different vendors, because having 16 high schools in my district, all of them have different needs. And so I'm able to invite those folks on a Teams meeting, or invite them in person to one of our district AD meetings, just to talk about their products or in services. So I think, always go into that vendor hall with a plan.
And I'm like Brent, I kind of look at, depending on how many aisles, if there's 12, I'll hit a certain section at one time and then come back so that it's not so overwhelming. But I'm also like LAMARR, I'm at the district level. And so one of the things when I'm looking through the vendor area, I'm also looking about my district as a whole, because there's some vendors that will service things that are not just exclusive to athletics, that our district can use. And I'll give you an example. We we rent out our facilities. And so the person that's in charge, our facility manager for the district, he was in need of a product that where you could schedule facilities. And so I was able to speak with different vendors on his behalf and then connect them and things like that. So and the other thing about the vendor area, I think for me is it keeps me fresh and in the know of the new trends in our industry. I mean, because there's a lot with technology that, maybe that product was developed on the East Coast, and I'm down here in Southwest, in Texas, and so maybe that product has not filtered down to Texas yet. But being at the conference and going to the vendor area is one way for me to be exposed to it. So I agree with everybody else in how there's many ways to attack it, and you just got to figure out through the years what's best for you.
Just to piggyback on that real quickly, so another vending fall experience for me. So I have Neptune Game Time in my school. A lot of places have that, just a radio place. We're about ready to find out if all the people covering the games when I'm gone have followed my directions to log into that and get it going on the loudspeaker. So we'll see how many phone calls I get for that.
Great information. And Jen, like you said, don't be afraid to just say hi, even if you're an introvert, to people as you walk by. But the other thing is, if you avert your eyes, you may not see, they might have a special candy or a special giveaway that you can just grab and put in your bag. Sometimes people have gummy bears, or they have, a candy that you like, and that's unusual. So, if you turn your eyes, you won't see the candy that they have.
Hey, Jamie, I think that's a good point. Bring an extra little bag or something. So I think they give out those little cinch bags. Make sure you have those, because there are a lot of good swag, and it's near Christmas time. So some of the swag I bring back to my office individuals, to the ladies in the office. There's value in that. And again, the vendors, they want to get rid of their items because they don't want to have to ship it back home. So, I think all our vendors deserve a thank you. So just keep that in mind as you go through.
Great point, Lisa. Use that as Christmas shopping. You might have a million squishy basketballs, but you know what? You probably have a niece or a nephew or someone like a grandkid. You can find all kinds of Christmas gifts there. Last year, I actually found this big desk size mouse pad for my son. He's a teenager. He's a gamer, and way over, like, the farthest booth in the whole corner of the place was this esports for high school. And I got to talking with the guy, and he gave me this big mouse pad for the whole desk, and my son has loved it. So look for ways to get your Christmas shopping in. Is there, with that being said, I used to be a college basketball coach, and at the Final Fours for basketball, there would always be this floor company that would be giving out these little pieces of floor that were designed. They looked like the replica of that year's Final Four. And you would want to get every year's, and you could put them together. And, it was a big deal to always collect that. And so coaches would always kind of go to that booth first. Is there something that you would suggest? And it's just between us, nobody else is hearing this, but is there a booth or something that you would suggest people need to probably go to get? Because every year they seem to have something awesome that they're giving away.
Well, the funny thing for me is, Jamie, for me, I'm a pin guy. Like I like trading pins, lapel pins. So I like to add the pins from each state and the different organizations. And there's a lot of the vendors that'll have them. I'll add them to my lanyard with my badge on it, and I try to bring those lanyards home every year. And I've got a little display at home that I hang up the lanyards with all the different pins I was able to collect for any given year. Some years I do better than others, but I'm a pin guy.
All right.
I see a lot of people pushing people down, getting to the ice cream social. So that's always a good one to get to, I think. Elbows are high on that. You're coming through setting screens there, Jamie, with basketball knowledge. Yeah, there could be some legal picks going on, but yeah, it's it's those when they want to get in there and make sure they get the right kind of ice cream. I think I've seen the most scuffles happen in there for sure.
Well, I know personally in my whole household, and most people know Scott Jarvis, or a lot of people are familiar with Bound. and especially the people in Iowa, but they give out fist bump. And my wife is like, hey, you got to bring back like a whole case of that fist bump. It's like meat seasoning or like barbecue seasoning. She's like, bring back a bunch of that. It has nothing to do with Bound. It has nothing to do with being an AD, but I love getting that. And I always, fill up a cinch bag with that.
And true to Iowa products, we aren't really sure what's in it, so that's the mystery of the whole rub, the rub of the rub, so to speak.
I would also say that if your vendor hall time conflicts with the game that you want to watch on TV, head to the video boards, the Daktronics, those kind of guys, because they're going to be showing the game. And so you can stand right there. And I'm sure they're going to show some women's sports too. So we got everybody covered.
And what give me your the number of your booth, Jen?
Yep, Global Community of Women in High School Sports is booth number 915.
915. So definitely make sure you check out booth 915. Even if once again, it doesn't mean that you have to be interested in that booth, but just go and make a connection, make it, just be friendly, just say hi to people. But definitely you're best friends with Jen now after this episode. So go check out booth 915. Anyone else thoughts on the vendor hall or tips and strategies to get good Christmas gifts or the booths that you got to visit?
I would say just know when they say that there's a breakfast break, that there's going to be coffee, because I know there's a lot of times people are standing in that Starbucks line and then you get to the vendor hall and that breakfast break, there's coffee there and you're thinking, dang it, I could have just waited. And so that's a good one to know. And also make sure you stop by the NIAAA booth, because they always have a gift as well. It's not the conference gift, it's something different, but just know that that's there as well for you.
Awesome. Well, my wife has already put the on our Starbucks app. She's already bought some gift cards at our local grocery store to get the perks, the fuel perks to buy gift cards, and she's already put it on my app on my phone for Starbucks. So I'm all geared up for Starbucks already. But yeah, definitely those breakfast breaks, you can get the free coffee. Let's turn our attention. We mentioned a little bit about hospitality rooms. We mentioned about Austin. We mentioned about networking, kind of combining that as you look at a schedule of events for the 4 days that you're going to be there. Are there some thoughts that you guys have for maybe getting away from the actual conference, maybe going to a restaurant? And I know not all of you are familiar. Some of you, this is the first time being at Austin, but is there a time in the schedule that's better to get away, or things that you can do in the evening times after hours? And I know this Austin conference is set up slightly different in that there's not people are at different hotels. So it may not be as convenient as maybe some other conferences in the past, but just thoughts in general about maybe breaking away. And that can encompass a lot of things that we've had, but getting away from the conference itself, or after hours, or just taking a breath.
Go ahead.
Yeah, I was just thinking, because I'm the one from Texas and I'm very familiar with Austin. That's where we have our state track meet. And I can tell you one of the things that I do often is the Lady Bird Lake is not far from the convention center or from downtown. Austin is their downtown is pretty walkable, depending on, so bring your really good, comfortable walking shoes. But from the convention center down to the lake is no more than a mile, I don't think. And so one of my activities I love to do is just go for a walk in the morning. The weather probably won't be such where you can actually rent kayaks, but that's something that I do on the state track meet down in Austin. Is if I don't have anyone competing in the morning, so I will go out for for a quick row and come back. There's restaurants galore. In Texas we eat. So there's plenty within walking distance of the convention center, and even the hotels, they're all within a couple of blocks of each other. And these are Texas blocks, so they're not real long. Yeah, but there's a lot. And Austin is really a unique city. I would say for me, at the age I am now, 6th Street doesn't hold a lot of excitement for me. But in my younger days, that's someplace that I would have gone, just if nothing else, just to experience it. Lots of live music in Austin. And so if you love music and live music, it's really a place that can accommodate all different genres as well.
I will say for the past conferences, I have actually kind of been a workaholic and did not go out and did not, experience life outside of that convention center. And I've told myself I'm absolutely doing that this year. So I've carved a little space in the evenings for that. And I'm a huge bourbon fan, whiskey fan. And so I'm heading up still Austin. It's they got ranked like top 6 bourbons. So if anybody wants to hit up still Austin with me, I'm going to do that one of the nights.
Jen, I'm glad you mentioned that. I too plan to head to still as well. I am a bourbon aficionado myself, and I tend to travel the United States and check out different distilleries. So I'm in with it.
If there was any question what ADs do with their free time, it's eat and drink, apparently, our conversation today. But yeah, I have not been to Austin either. Been to San Antonio several times, obviously, for the convention and Dallas areas. But so I'm looking forward to that. Just taking in a new place. It's always fun to sit and watch, whether that's just on a park bench just outside the hotel or walking somewhere else to see what that city has to offer. And maybe talk my wife into coming back with me another time. So I'm looking forward to, as Jamy said at the beginning, weather a little bit different than Iowa. I think it's going to be about 15 degrees when I take off from Chicago on Thursday. So,
well, as we go ahead and wrap up, I want to just go around the panel, closing thoughts, closing ideas, maybe something that you hadn't said earlier or that you thought of during the course of our time together. Just some parting thoughts of some advice or tips, whether you're a veteran or whether you're a newbie at this conference, something that might be helpful to them. And then we'll see you all in Austin, down in Texas. So we'll go ahead and start with Joe. Just some closing thoughts or closing ideas.
Yeah, I would just encourage folks that if you've never been, try to find a way to get there, right? Whether it's this one or the next one, or somewhere down the road, put it on your bucket list, because I really do feel, from a professional development standpoint, it is by far one of the best conferences you can attend, and the amount of information you can gather at the conference is unbelievable. From the first time I went till now, I haven't missed one, right? So, and up until then, there was countless people that said, Joe, you got to go, and district wouldn't pay for it, and we found ways to go. And once that happened, I'm all in, and it's just a great experience, and I would just recommend it for anyone.
Yeah, I'd follow that too, Joe. It's a great place to get a lot of information, and again, just you're not going to be able to get to everything. So if you just know that going in, just have a little bit of a plan of where you want to go first, and then just let it take you where it goes. And you're going to make connections with people, and again, just lay that foundation for what might come later. And maybe it's your first time or one of the few times you've been able to go, but it's every year I come back with something that I didn't expect. So have a plan to go to something you like, and be open to ideas that you might end up in a session you maybe didn't think you were interested in, and come out of there with some good ideas as well.
I would suggest to everyone to be present. That when you're sitting in those workshops and when you're sitting in those classes, be present in that moment when you're having those conversations, because your phone's going to ding, you're going to get text messages, you're going to get emails. Put on that do not disturb. Prioritize yourself in this space for your professional development, right? So definitely do that. Bring business cards if you don't, and/or I put I have a digital business card, so I use Blink with the Q, and then that way people are going to want to share your contact information. Make sure you're able to share contact information easily.
Yes, I totally agree, Jen. I'll tell anybody, just learn, live, and laugh, right? Have fun. Be there, be present, be where your feet are. Enjoy this weekend. It's so funny because my birthday is December 11th. And so every year, this is kind of my birthday trip, right? This is this is a chance for me to see friends, meet new people, just have fun, like I said, but also doing what I like to do. I like to learn. Like Lisa, I'm a lifelong learner, and I want to get better and be the best at what I do. So this is that opportunity to do that. So I would encourage anybody, get to an NADC.
And I would say, just kind of closing out here, just a couple of things. First of all, you see people in the blue blazers, they're on the current board. Please feel free, if you have any questions, to ask them. Having been a former board member and having been a past president, one of the things that we're there, the board is there to assist you with any kind of questions and concerns. And if they don't have the answer, they'll find out for you. For me, one of the things how I approach the conferences, I set goals. It's like, it might be, I want to come back with three things that I can immediately implement to better serve my athletic coordinators, my coaches, and ultimately that's going to help our kids. And so, you're in for quite a treat. And everyone keeps saying, uses the term being open. And I think that is so much a key, because in 2004 in San Antonio, who would have thought then that at some point I would become the president? But I talked to friends, and someone said, hey, you need to get involved. And it was the best decision professionally that I ever made. You will never regret coming to the conference. You will never regret being involved, because you're going to be around great people, great leaders, people that will inspire you, people you can inspire, people that'll motivate you on those hard and challenging days. So, I'm looking forward to welcoming everyone to Austin, Texas.
Well, thank you everybody for joining us on this show today and providing great insights. Thank you for all that you do for your athletes in your district or your school, for your coaches, your staff. Thanks everybody for listening to this. This is a great time coming up with the holiday season to grow, to learn, do some professional development, whether you're at the conference or not, but also to refresh a little bit, because when you pour into yourself a little bit, you also have more to pour out into others. So thank you everybody for what you do in your schools, your districts as well. Appreciate you listening to this on the audio podcast or on the video on YouTube, on Rumble. Kindly share this with maybe an AD friend of yours, and go ahead and smash that like button, or just tap it if you don't want to break your screen by smashing it too hard. But until next time, remember that success is a choice. What choice will you make today?